In this photo, unfortunately do not have an official name to it, but I will call it the bull for obvious reasons, since this seems like a male cow, which is a bull. So it obviously has a more bronze corkscrew horns, which is usually not typical of a bull, but still very interesting and beautiful to look at. I definitely enjoy seeing this. It was definitely fun to have this kind of artwork in front of me. It's definitely very interesting and very beautiful. In this photo, unfortunately do not. This title, which I will not say the full title because of YouTube, is called F This. You guys will see the full title in the image itself. It was made in 2020 and is made out of stoneware and utilizing different kinds of glazes. So of course it is made to look like a gas mask or a type of gas mask, and you get the impression by the title that the artist is basically trying to say we're trying to isolate ourselves from the toxicity of the world. The outside world has nothing wonderful or positive to give us, so we must protect ourselves from the outside world, which is an interesting take for an artist. Because obviously some artists are trying to say, hey, you know what, I'm trying to save the world. This artist seems in this particular piece saying there is no way to save the world, so you might as well at least try to save yourself from the outside world. This is a piece called Keep Calm and Thrived. It was made in 2021 using recycled stoneware, various glazes, stains, and gold luster. So here again you have a gas mask with a bear holding a beer in its hand, obviously lying back on a sofa or chaise lounge. You kind of get that idea that the world is in a disaster, and you might as well just let things happen and save yourself. There's no don't bother trying to save the world. Don't bother putting effort. The world is decaying, destroying itself. Again, you might as well enjoy what time you have left on this planet and save yourself and really just be egotistical. Again, this is just my personal interpretation of the piece. This might not be what the author or artist is trying to say, but that's the impression that I'm getting from this piece. This particular piece is called Lazy Bear, made in 2020 using stoneware, again some various glazes and stains. So again you see the idea of a gas mask being worn by a bear on a lazy boy chair. So you get that sense of apathy and just, hey, the world is ending, what can I do? What can I really change in the world that I find myself in? Might as well be comfortable while the world ends. Might as well just try to enjoy my day. And why bother trying to save a world that seems to be on its last legs? This is a piece called Personal Protection, made in 2021. It is black, using stoneware, glaze, stains, and a wooden pole. So in this particular piece, you see a creature of some kind with a goat head, with a dog or a wolf, giving the impression that even this goat person needs a guard of some kind, dog guard, to protect itself from something, right? So you have the idea that goat people tend to be considered as personifications of evil. If this goat person needs protection, well, who is he protecting himself against? It's certainly not us humans. But if they need protection, it must be something very terrifying or much worse than they are. So it definitely gives you food for thought of, oh my God, what's going on? What I like about it is the general look, and you see that this goat person not only has a dog for protection of unknown evil, from unknown evil, I should say, but also an umbrella to protect itself against the sun, against the rain. So you have minor inconveniences or things that can cause you problems like rain or too much sun, but obviously the dog or wolf to protect yourself against a greater threat. So, again, it gives you that, question of what is this goat person protecting itself from? What is that unknown evil that even it feels like I need to protect myself? I need to do something more than the average person. So in this piece called Political, we see a rabbit wearing a mask. It was made in 2020, so thereabouts at the beginning of COVID-19 and self-isolation, etc. It is made out of black stoneware, glaze, and a wooden stand. So here we have, like I said, a rabbit wearing a gas mask, and you get the sense that this was made really in response to the government-imposed interventions to protect us from COVID-19, which became very politicized. Obviously, a lot of people were for it, a lot of people were against wearing masks, against self-isolation, etc. The mandatory measures that were put in place by the government to minimize potential deaths and so forth from COVID-19. Now, obviously, guys, I'm not out here trying to tell you must wear masks or you must not wear masks. I'm not political, but myself. But obviously, COVID-19 has become a political subject, hence the title of this particular piece. So this our particular artist decided to take advantage of it and really, as a viewer, have us questioning the validity of the government's intervention and impositions to us, and say, is this something that was necessary or not, right? And again, guys, I'm not out here trying to be political and tell you have to think one thing or the other, but it's certainly food for thought with this particular piece. What does a rabbit represent? Is it humanity, our innocence, or we're trying, or the government trying to muzzle us as mere animals, etc. So you guys can decide for yourselves what this piece means. Here we see a gas mask called Tired of This Ship, made in 2020 out of stoneware and glazes. So of course you get the sense that the world itself is toxic, and that the person wearing it is trying to prevent the outside world to affect them, right? So they're really trying to, self-care through, a gas mask, essentially. So it's really interesting to see this kind of piece. So obviously the color of it is also much darker. The eyes are red and fiery and blazing, sort of, to indicate that it's reflecting a world that's on fire, that's burning and destroying itself. Here you have the piece called Waiting in Silence, made in 2020, using speckled stoneware, glaze, stains, and underglaze. So obviously, as you can see, one of them, well, they're both bunnies, right? But one of them is the more traditional looking type of bunny, while the one on the back of it seems to be more humanoid, more a breed mix of a human being and a bunny rabbit, sort of like what we would think a bunny would look like in 10,000 years, or if there was genetic modification or something involved like that. So you could, imply with this what we expect from what could potentially be. Now, even in the traditional looking bunny, the ears are exaggeratedly long. They're much longer than what you would expect to see on a bunny of this size. Sort of like, I can hear, my capacity of hearing is greater than. So there's a lot of imagery here that could be made from the two bunnies here. You can ask yourself, well, why is there more human looking bunny on the back of the other one, right? Kind of to maybe symbolize how humans affect nature potentially. In this piece called Watching the Skies, made in 2020 using stoneware mix and stains, the artist seems to be a little bit more hopeful with this work, since watching the skies tends to have a connotation of looking at something that's above us, right? Looking at God, looking at, the life, the potential of where we could go, what we could do, the planets we could discover, etc., right? Even if you want to come out here and say, oh, aliens exist, well, some people believe that aliens are benefactors and are out there trying to help us and make our lives better by bringing technology or tools that can help us go to the next level. So with this piece, the artist seems to want to bring us some hope and well wishes. What do you guys think? In this piece called 21st Century House Hippo, made in 2021 using stoneware, glaze, gold luster, you have the idea of a famous Canadian commercial called The House Hippo, where the government was calling out fake publicity and fake information by having a commercial showing the quote-unquote house hippo, which is of course a fictionalized animal. But here you see that the baby hippo on the back of the parent is using a cell phone, showing that modern day children are very high tech dependent, and that they're right in the back of the previous generation, right? Where they get all the comforts of home, and the parent seems to be in difficulty of some kind, struggling a little bit to support the kid, but the kid is just joyfully on their cell phone watching or playing something. We're not really sure since the screen is black. So this is supposed to be, or at least what I think, the representation of how one generation is struggling to help improve the life and make things simpler for the next generation. Here we have Anxiety Coyote, made in 2021 using stoneware mix and stains. So sort of like some of the previous works, we see that we have a normal animal, or at least what seems to be a normal animal, but with excuse me, much more human features. So if you look at what would be the paws, they tend to be more human hands. And there's this semi-looking, lizard-looking thing on the fox's back, right? So again, you get the sense of how things can potentially evolve, how humans affect nature. Foxes and coyotes tend to be very anxious creatures by nature, and aren't very big on socializing with human beings, etc. So you see here that humanity has imposed itself on nature, despite nature being cautious around human beings. This is a piece called Calusas, made in 2020 using smoked fired stoneware and wood-fired porcelain. As you can see, it's several individual pieces put together as an ensemble presentation, right? So it's not one piece, it's several, about 24 individual pieces put together, and sort of with that idea that as us individuals, we might mean something, but put together, we become something greater, something different. So in the back, you see obviously various hands that were seemingly molded, and then you have a goat creature in the front with a hand in front of it. What could this mean? Your guess is as good as mine, because again, goats unfortunately have been associated with evil, with the devil. And do we have a hand in it? Do we have a hand in evil, right? Do we play a part in it? Is it evil is human is evil? Are we part of that world just as much as as the Bible says, God is among us, we are God, is the same true for evil. Here is a more zoomed in picture of the previous piece called Calusas. It's of one of the hands. So as you can see, you can tell that it was taken from a molded piece of an actual hand, or if it wasn't, it was a very well done sculpture. Here you have a piece called Distance Less Travel, made in 2021, with porcelain, smoked fired stoneware, and underglaze. You have a hare or a type of rabbit represented here with engravings in the base of geese or ducks or some kind of birds. Obviously, geese traveled to the south during winter, whilst rabbits tend to stay in a fairly small area. Geese are not necessarily known for their great speed, but rather their distance travel, while as hares or rabbits tend to be considered as fast and quick, but not necessarily going long distances. So you have the contrast of speed and distance between these two very different animals. So what's important? Where do we go? What's more important? Where we go or how fast we get there, right? So obviously we all know the story of the tortoise and the hare, where the tortoise is considered a very slow animal that takes its time, but was able to outsmart the hare and cross the finish line before the hare was. So kind of that analogy of it's better to take your time and do good quality work rather than get there really fast, do it really quickly, and not have the good work as a testimony of the job that you've done. Here is another unknown piece. The author did not give this piece a title, or at least it was not put up. So again, you have a piece of a bull, a male cow. This one looks more closer to what we expect a bull to look like. So the horns are fairly typical of what you would find on a male bull. So your guess is as good as mine as to what this would potentially represent. It is most likely using stoneware and glaze of some kind, and of course a pole. This is usually, like I said, a typical representation. So you would get the sense of this might be considered a representation of typical masculinity and men being bulls and being forward and strong, etc. But that's just one of many potential interpretations. Y'all let me know what you think of this particular piece.